What is your promise? Why are you in business? How do you expect to grow?
This is The Hook, a show focused on branding, marketing, and business development.
You brand to inspire, not to sell.
Jason Arsmont, the marketing maverick, gives expertise to business owners, serial entrepreneurs, and anyone interested in building a stronger company brand.
Creating a brand is like telling a story. You've got one shot to say it all.
When your marketing works, you've got them on the hook.
Thanks for tuning in to The Hook. As you heard our voice guy say that we're called The Hook, that's us.
Yeah.
We do a show about branding, marketing, and business for you, and maybe impart you with a little knowledge along the way during this show. We got the marketing maverick here. That's Jason Arsmont. Welcome. After we had, about an hour and a half before we even started the show, talk about the Diaz-McGregor fight.
Right.
And what we thought about it. You know what's funny is that you're in MMA because you grew up in martial arts.
Yeah.
I'm just a fan of MMA, so most of our conversations, like just around the office stuff, is like, ooh, did you see that fight? Oh, you're going to watch this upcoming fight? And then it kind of transitions to us talking about it on the air, which has almost nothing to do with business at all.
Well, except that they're making a lot more money nowadays than they used to.
Yeah.
I think they said it was almost like a $25 million payout between McGregor and Diaz. I think 13 to McGregor and 12 million to Diaz.
No.
With pay-per-view and everything?
Oh, with pay-per-view?
It was $3 million purse and a $2 million.
Yeah. Okay.
So, and then it was like another $10 million worth of pay-per-view and Fight of the Nights and Adidas sponsorships and all that kind of stuff. It's a business, man. It's crazy.
Dude. That is a lot of money.
Yeah.
And there's going to be a third.
McGregor said, I'll make you rich. You fight me, you're a millionaire. It's kind of cool, man. I like it.
Yeah. It was fun to watch that fight, although I was texting you on the way home after the fight saying that I thought it was the wrong decision, but whatever, you know.
Well, Well, I guess if you let it go the full 5 rounds, you're leaving it in the judge's hands.
Yeah.
He should have finished him.
That's
Even
true.
Diaz said that. Diaz said, if I was me, I would have finished myself. Like, gosh, even when they lose, they're confident. I love it.
We're not going to get too
All
deep
right.
into MMA. This is
Yeah.
being brought to you by Brightbox Brand Marketing.
It's our full-service brand marketing firm. You can check us out at brightboxonline.com for all of your branding, marketing, web development, social media, public relations.
We do a lot of
graphic
stuff.
design, web development,
Yeah.
video production.
Keep on
creative.
going.
It just keeps going and going.
Let's see how long you can go.
Yeah, full graphics, full content writing, social media, all that good stuff. So if you need some help with any of the things that we talk about on the show, a lot of it we do within our Box family of companies, from marketing to training, corporate training, trade show exhibits and printing and HR outsourcing, you name it. So we're always here for you. Go check us out at brightboxonline.com.
And our guest today is someone who knows every one of those box companies because it has touched their business or the business he works for in many different ways because we handle their exhibit booth wherever they go around the country.
Yep.
We also do a lot of print needs for them and a lot of stuff for PfP.
We've done some staffing for them in the past. Yeah.
Correct.
We do their marketing.
We've also been there with OnToBox.
True. That's right.
Yeah, we did a LinkedIn training with them before. So John Turner with PfP Industries is going to be in today. And, well, talk about something that's kind of near and dear to us. The energy industry right now.
Especially right now, man.
What's going on?
Yeah, everyone's freaking out. And, I thought and Josh really thought that, hey, John would be a great guest. We were talking about the energy industry a couple weeks ago, and he's like, man, why don't we get John with PfP? They service a lot of different companies, whether it be upstream or midstream. And so I thought it would be, definitely suiting to have him come in. They can maybe explain a little bit about PfP, what they do, and maybe get kind of state of the industry from them.
And we can talk about this a little bit more when he comes on, but PfP Industries has pretty much, I guess, like 5 to 7 or 8 companies or divisions that are vertically integrated.
Right.
So they produce guar that is in India, then they ship it over here, and then they can blend it. They do a lot of stuff with PfP technology and OptiBlend, but they also have the equipment to handle it. That's roughneck equipment, that part of it. They also have particulates. They have Pro Water. They have a lot of stuff going on in one place.
Well, and that's why I thought they'd be a perfect guest to come in and just say, what's going on? Are we going to see, oil come back up? Are we going to see the price of gas come back up? Or have we just hit like a new low? I know a lot of people are always asking me, they're like, well, man, why is it so low? And I mean, at the end of the day, it kind of comes down to just pure sense that, hey, it's supply and demand, right? And if prices are really low, it means we have an overabundance of the resource. And really what's kind of stirred that, I mean, there's a whole bunch of probably political things behind it too, but my very base level of knowledge, and we'll see if John can confirm it, is that Saudi Aramco has basically said, hey, we're no longer going to kind of govern how much or regulate the price of oil. And I mean, because before and even now, I guess they're the largest exporter of the crude product, right? So in the past, what they had done is whenever they would see spikes in demands and valleys, that they would either up their production or pull back on their production to control the price point. And I guess as of last year or whatever, they've said, hey, we're no longer going to do that. We're going to sell all we got. And now I guess there's even rumors that they're potentially going to sell off part of Saudi Aramco, which is, which would be crazy.
Are they still going to do the half marathon here?
Oh my gosh. I sure hope so.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. So wondering. It's interesting. I don't know that any one person or company can say what the price of oil is going to do, or are all these people in Houston going to get their jobs back? It just seems so volatile. Everyone thought that we'd be up in price by now. We've had a couple little looks like it's going to retrace, but then it just keeps bottoming back out. So hopefully John can give us some insight. I said earlier that John services the upstream and midstream, PfP does. And I guess just for those listening who aren't too aware, the market itself is kind of broken into three kind of main sectors. You've got upstream, midstream, and then downstream. And the way that they break those up is, so the upstream is more of like the exploration and production side of it, and they call that E&P. So if you're out there trying to find where there's pockets of gas or oil in the market, you're on the upstream side. Then you've got the midstream guys, which would do the transportation, the storage, the wholesale of crude or refined petroleum. And then you've got downstream, which is like out in LaPorte. That's the refineries, and they're processing it and getting it ready for the end consumer. So there you go.
Thank you. Thank you for that lesson.
Well, John can break it down, but I have a feeling he's going to probably come in with some throwing some phrases around out there. I thought I might break it down a little bit.
It's funny because I had no idea that there was a difference in all that. Just 5-6 years ago, I didn't work in marketing. I didn't know anything about oil or gas, and so I was working. At the time I was working with Weight Watchers. That was many pounds ago.
Many pounds ago.
Yeah, gained that weight back. But anyway, I was working for Weight Watchers, and one of the meetings I did was at ConocoPhillips. And they said, yeah, we're going to break up and we're going to be upstream and downstream. I was like, what is – I don't even understand what that is.
What are y'all talking about?
I have no idea what you're talking about here.
Yeah.
And so they had to explain to me how it all worked. And, I mean, it's fascinating because if you're not in the industry, you don't really understand. Yeah. I think, or if you're not an investor, or someone who follows this pretty tightly.
I kind of accidentally got into doing marketing for oil and gas companies, I guess 15 years ago or so, and I really just kind of fell in love with it. There's so much to this market space, from technology to the culture of the roughnecks, the guys out on the rigs. There's just so much to it, and you can always learn more. And with being a marketing firm, we do a lot of videos and animations, and so every time I turn around, we're doing a video of a snubbing unit, or a downhole tooling system, or some type of pig tracker, it's just there's always something, things I never thought existed. All of a sudden are being drawn out on a napkin, and we have to go turn that into some high-res 3D animation. So
some kind of rendering or something.
Yeah, I've learned a lot more than I ever thought I would or ever thought I'd want to, but it's a fascinating industry.
That's when you go into a meeting, you're like, okay, yeah, we can do this for sure. And you and I have been in that meeting one time before where I'm so confused. I have no idea what's going on. You're like, yeah, that seems pretty easy. We get not a problem, and we'll have that to you in 3 days.
3 days.
And we walk out of the meeting, and this is what Jason does. I'm like, dude, did you follow that? Because I'm not really, I don't understand what just happened. He's like, and this is what you told me. You're like, I don't either. What just went on? And then I realized after that you're just messing with me.
Yeah.
But I'm freaking out. We have this due in 2 days.
I don't know, Josh. You're going to have to figure it out, man. I don't know what's going on.
You did that to
me. Yeah.
And so for an hour and a half, I'm thinking, okay, remember when they mentioned
this? It was a long drive
this?
back to the office.
Yes. I said, remember whenever they mentioned this? What did he mean by that? You're like, it's the first I ever heard of it. And I'm like, dude, you cannot do this to me. So we get back to the office and he explains everything. He knows exactly what's going on. But it was one of those learning process of whenever you don't know something and you just step into an industry like marketing and you have to figure this stuff out on the fly, which is what we're good at by now.
It's the whole office shenanigans, man.
Yeah, great job. Thanks, Jason. And I hadn't been working there very long, so it was a nice one to pull over on me. I'm thinking, I'm fired. I'm done.
You just agreed to it, Josh. You got to deliver now.
Yeah, the whole time I'm shaking my head in that meeting like, yeah, that's going to look awesome. I cannot wait.
Well, I'm sure upcoming when John gets here, we'll have a lot of listeners just shaking their head going, okay. But, so you're going to want to stay tuned for John. We got a great interview with him coming up.
Yeah, he is sharp, man.
He is a really sharp
good
guy. You guys are going to like him a lot. But also want to throw out there that we do have the Texas Freedom Run book is out. For those of you who don't know, about a year and a half ago, I ran across the entire state of Texas from El Paso to Orange, all in efforts to help raise awareness and money to fight against child sex trafficking. A month-long, unbelievable journey, 30 marathons in 30 days. The book is called Texas Freedom Run. You can go to Amazon, check it out. Support us.
Yeah,
100% of the proceeds go back to the cause.
All right, fantastic. Go and check that out. We got the business tip that's on the way next on The Hook.
It started way back in 3rd grade.
This is The Hook. You can listen to us online if you ever missed any of our episodes, thehookradio.com. Also, that's where you ask us questions. And last week, Jacqueline was giving out something. What was she giving away?
Oh, the free marketing analysis.
Yeah, the analysis on your website. So
and I think she's still doing that. So if you guys missed that one, go listen to the show, but you can also go to brightboxonline.com.
Yeah, just hit up Jacqueline for that. OnToBoxTraining.com is who's bringing you this segment.
OnToBox Training is powerful training for professional people. This is our corporate training group. Kind of rooted in sales training, has turned into a number of different courses and offerings that we have for companies and employees and individuals, from workflow analysis, social media training, LinkedIn training for sales folks, 7 Triggers training, which is a sales training program based on a neuro study that was done. I mean, all kinds of stuff. If you're looking to help get your company running more efficiently, improve some department inefficiencies, check us out at ontoboxtraining.com.
What's our business tip for the day?
Business tip. So we're talking about, I'm not sure that there's a technical or an official term other than digital public relations, digital PR. Traditional public relations, for the most part, is just, historically, it's extremely challenging, especially if you're looking at like a national level to get picked up by a major media source, publication, or TV. For most of us in small businesses, small regional businesses, it's going to be nearly impossible for us to get that. Unless we're launching some electric or self-driven car.
Right.
The idea that someone's going to see your story and it's going to be national headline news, it's really almost impossible.
Yeah, because the chance of something going viral is just an absolute shot in the dark.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You would think that if you do something like, let's bring up the Texas Freedom Run. You would think that that'd be like all over the place. And it's hard to kind of narrow into people and get into their brain because they're like, well, people are doing good things for other people all the time.
Yeah.
And so they don't know if they want to lend that airspace to it.
Yeah, it's tough. Even for the marketing firm that we have, and like Josh said, when I ran across Texas trying to get people to help promote it, man, it was difficult. Time is valuable, airtime is valuable, and they're trying to put on the best that they can.
They say, so when do you think we could put this on? We're very busy. And I'm like, I don't know. What about with a Chewbacca mom?
Yeah.
Take that time.
How could you plan that one out? Yeah. Here's somebody, running across the entire state of Texas, 30 marathons in 30 days, setting a world record, raising over $100,000 worth of money to help fight child sex trafficking. And Chewbacca mom beats me out.
I know.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I don't blame it. I get it, but
it was it's that shot in the dark.
Yeah, and it's tough. So what can you do to leverage the digital age to maximize your exposure as a company? We'll go through a few points here. Obviously, search engine optimization, SEO. Mm-hmm. We talk about this all the time. We've had guests on the show who specialize in it. If you're not taking advantage of turning your website into a 24-hour day, 7-day a week sales engine, then shame on you. If you haven't at least done that part, don't come ask me, what can I do to help drive more traffic to my company?
You have
because
to do-
you've got to be knocking the website out of the park these days.
Yeah, you got to know, what relates to your industry and using those search terms. And you got meta tags, meta descriptions, keywords.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just a lot of stuff. And you also want to use, some other things to leverage that too. Just going and putting up a website's not going to get you what you want.
Yeah,
have
and
to
I
use
think a
the
lot of people
SEO.
still think that having a website in and of itself is search engine friendly.
Now, 20 years ago, yeah.
Well,
Because
yeah.
there were only 5
Websites.
websites.
Likelihood that they're going to stumble across your site was a lot better. Yeah, if you're selling, especially if you're in the consumer world, you need to make sure that your site is strong visually as well as monthly search engine optimization efforts. And that is identifying your audience, developing some keywords and some phrases that talk specifically to that audience, and then get your website on a program. Identify a professional that can do that for you. There's a number of great folks in Houston. Obviously, brightboxonline.com is a great source if you need some help with that. But if you're not maximizing and utilizing those keywords, you really got to think about it. And once you understand that, maybe just sitting down with somebody for an hour, let them explain to you what search engine optimization is, and try to identify where there's other ways to do that through social media, through YouTube, through Facebook. The more places you're posting this content, these keywords that you've identified, and linking them back to your website, the better off you're going to be.
And I'll talk about them using SEO with social media coming up, because there's a very important part of that.
Okay. The next thing is think about really telling a story in a unique way or somehow standing out. There's so much noise. Just think about all the noise and traffic out there, and think about yourself as a consumer. This is what I always ask our team whenever we're coming up with new ideas, new campaigns, because we're all online every day just like everyone else. Would this campaign, would this statement, would this post get my attention? Would it make me stop it and read it and say, oh, who posted that? I'd like to follow them. And if it doesn't, not all your posts have to, right? But the majority of the posts, especially the ones that you promote and you boost, need to be memorable. They need to have some kind of unique element to them, whether it's a visual graphic or a funny video, or the way that the language you use. Something about it has to separate you from the pack.
Yeah, somebody very good at that, Ryan Lochte. That's not the way you want to do it, but it was very effective.
Yeah, well, that's right. Not necessarily how you want to do it, but that does bring up a good point, is playing on current events, right? I mean, that's one way that you can help get your business exposure. I know a lot of times what I see marketing groups do is they write out a marketing calendar for the month. And we do this too. We write out a marketing calendar for the month, and then we execute that calendar. What we do as a marketing firm that a lot of folks don't do is we try to find current events that we can then embed into the campaign live on the go, so that your social media page, so that your marketing efforts seem to be relevant and current, in your supporting or your, detracting from something else that's already getting exposure. So a great way to maximize your exposure on kind of a small level. The other thing, too, is partner with like-minded brands. I think this is one of the most underutilized strategies, finding brands who reach your target audience but don't sell or don't offer your specific offering. Partnering with them for existence. For example, if you've got a window company, and a fence company, an AC company, HVAC company, they should be developing relationships with brands that are selling to the same type of homeowners, so that they can then leverage leads and leverage, just the brand integrity that they're going to get.
It's like partner services.
Yeah, partner services. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of times that I'll get a lead, just with all the different type of business that I'm involved in. I'll get a lead for something that isn't really up my alley as far as what our company does, what our brand is. A lot of times I'm able to hand that lead off for a small little kickback or a small little commission or a small little fee to another partner company that I have. And so now all of my leads make me money, not just the ones that I close. And I think that's really important when you start looking at it from a marketing and a business standpoint. A great book written by Jay Abraham is called Getting Everything You Can Out of All That You've Got. Changed the way that I look at business. So go check that out. It's called Getting Everything You Can Out of All That You've Got. Jay Abraham, one of the best business books that I read early on that got me going. And then finally, social media. But like we were talking about, you've got to really get involved in social media, not just doing posts, but look at doing campaigns, look at doing giveaways. It's a free platform, but you should still be investing in it just like you would with any other, digital media, whether it be advertising or, whatever.
And like I said about the SEO, what a lot of people do is they have a plan for the whole month. These are the social media posts that we're going to do. You can leverage those with your SEO, because I know that whenever we do SEO for someone, that we use that calendar. That way, every day that something is posted on Facebook or Twitter or any kind of social media, that we leverage the SEO that's in that content that we're putting out there. So it's all useful.
That's good.
I know.
Look,
I'm bright.
Josh, he's on it. He's on it. Right.
I earned my pay this week.
That's good. Well, I'm sure we're going to have a lot more marketing tips and some insight into the oil and gas industry coming up here in just a little bit.
Yeah, we got John that's coming in next. He's going to help us. His name is John Turner, PfP Industries. He's on the way, on the hook.
She said I'm going out with my girlfriends. Margaritas.
Thanks for spending your Saturday afternoon with us. This is The Hook, thehookradio.com. All of our old episodes, as I always like you to go and check out the archives. And if you ever have a question for us, we'd like to hear it. All you have to do is fill out the form, hit send, and we're done. The Marketing Maverick here, that's Jason Arsmont, our guest in studio. Good guest today, I told you.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. Well, and he's close to the family, right? We do a lot of work with him with the box companies, and I'm excited because we were talking about the energy industry before, as well as just being a passion-driven show about marketing and business. Our guest today brings 10 years of branding, sales, and commercialization and marketing from hydraulic fracturing and the energy industry all the way down through healthcare. His name is John Turner. He's currently the Director of Business Development and Marketing for PfP Industries. John, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. Yeah, kind of built me up a little bit. Hopefully I'll live up to that. We'll see.
I think you'll do just fine.
You'll do good. Right. You'll do good. Yeah, man. Anybody who comes in and says that they've got kind of a passion for marketing, branding, sales, is obviously just going to be close to me because that's where my passion comes from. Where did yours start?
Well, really, mine started at home. My mom always did art, and my dad had his own businesses, and a large part of that was doing sales. So growing up, it was always art and sales. And I really, in high school, got into graphic design, and so won a couple of competitions for marketing for graphic design with Business Professionals of America, and that got my interest. When I went off to college, I got more wanted to focus a little more on the science side. That was another interest of mine, and really just got lucky coming out of school. Found some roles that kind of merged the two, to where I had a combination of the sales and marketing aspect as well as the technical side.
Right. Man, that's interesting. So I've read there was a book, I can't remember the name of it now, but it said that some of the best salespeople are artists. Right, because they're constantly having to hustle their work, right? Where most people just think of them as like creative artists, but then the ones that are really successful have to be good at doing sales.
I read a different book. It said some of the most difficult clients are artists. You know how tough it is to do graphic design for a company that has someone that's worked in graphic design
for an award-winning graphic designer? Yeah.
From my experience, I just storyboard everything and give it to you and say, hey, make this.
Yeah, it does make it easier, but also you want to make sure that everything is absolutely perfect. So
it provides really good direction.
Yeah.
We like that. It's better than, well, I'll know it when I see it. That's what we normally get. So with John, at least he's like, no, I know it because I'm writing it down. But do it like this. Well, awesome. Well, so tell us a little bit about where you're at right now, PfP Technologies, Industries, Roughneck. Tell us, how does that whole...
So I came over to PfP Technologies going on 2 years now, and really it's a really unique company. I'm working with a former coworker of mine. It's a family-run company that was started about 15 years ago. It's had massive success in the oil field industry. Obviously, with the downturn, we're changing our focus a little bit more, but it's a really broad-based company. We have equipment, we have a full product line of stimulation and production chemicals, and we've really broadened our base in the last 2 years that I've been here, and that's been part of what I've been personally taking a part of, is commercializing a lot of those new products, bringing them to market, getting them in front of the right customers.
Yeah, that's interesting. So have you found that I guess, obviously it is because that's what you guys are doing, but kind of like this down market right now, I guess the idea is, well, hey, let's maybe we can't just depend on this one product. let's kind of branch off of the integrity and the equity that we have in our brand and offer some other things? Is that kind of the science behind it?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it was already in play before the downturn, and so we've just continued with that strategy throughout. I think that we're in a very fortunate position with our company, the way that we were structured and being privately held, and we had a very diverse customer base, which has helped protect us in this market also. So we've done pretty well compared to a lot of our contemporaries, but obviously with the rig count being what it is, with oil prices being what they are,
so much.
Everybody's a little bit slower than what they were several years ago. So it's definitely a difference. But at my previous company, we saw the 08-09 turnarounds, and that was mainly due to the investment market. And so when we saw the downturn there, we had what we call a V-shaped recovery, right? The rig counts popped back up. This one, everyone's been saying lower for longer, and now it's lower for even longer, and we don't really know.
Lower forever.
It might be. I mean, we just don't know when the oil price is going to change. But the interesting aspect is really it kind of shows how open our market is to global geopolitics and the way everything works in the world, because a lot of these things are just out of everyone's control.
Yeah, it seemed, I noted at the beginning of the show, we were talking about how, with Saudi Aramco saying that, hey, they're not going to kind of regulate anymore and that they're just going to open up the floodgates and they're going to sell as much of it as they can to anybody. Obviously that's having a ripple effect all the way over to us. And would you say is that kind of like the number one thing that you guys have seen, or are you guys more on the hydraulic side where it's just getting too expensive to produce it?
Well, I think it's all interrelated, right? So when you have a global oil supply that's an overage, then you have to drive down all your internal costs. And so, historically, the shale plays over the last several years, when we're doing these unconventional, the prices had come up, but the market could support it. I think the industry's been really good about getting creative during this downturn, and they've been finding ways. A lot of our customers that have still stayed busy during this time are still profitable at the current oil prices. So a lot of it has to do with your completion techniques. It has to do with the play you're in, what dollar you're getting for your oil, everything else. But, obviously there's going to be some plays that are going to be impacted more than others because there's just not the same efficiencies. And you saw that even in the good market globally. There are places like Argentina and Australia that were struggling to get up and running even when oil was $100 a barrel, just because of the lack of infrastructure and the fact that it drove up completion costs. We're pretty fortunate in the U.S. because of the amount of infrastructure we have here and the people we have, that we've really been able to draw down our completion costs quite significantly over the last couple of years. So it has an effect of keeping us, everybody in the industry still in business.
Yeah, it's interesting. You are seeing companies buying up assets, right? So, I mean, there's obviously groups that are seeing, hey, this is going to, rig count's going to have to go back up eventually, right?
Exactly.
What do you think, if any, is there any particular area within the space that you see an opportunity over the next 12 to 18 months? And is PfP in that space?
Yeah, I mean, I think that completions are going to turn back around over the next 12 to 18 months. With rig counts, you're going to do more completions, and that's really our core business. It's going to be our stimulation products, our viscosifiers, some of our equipment. That's all tied around that portion of it.
And for our listeners who may not know, break down completions. What do you mean by completions?
Well, when I say completion, I mean predominantly stimulation, so hydraulic fracturing. So when you're completing these wells, every one of them is going to be fractured or stimulated after they drill the well. And so it's just a matter of how they design that job, how many stages, what types of chemicals they're using, how much chemical they're using, what type of proppant they're using, and then what area is going to be in. And the area is impacted by the break-evens of the different shale plays. So, the Permian Basin has the highest rig count right now out of the U.S. plays. It tends to have the most profitable areas for people, even at current market prices. So we anticipate you'll see that being a strong area. But there'll be some other plays as well that are going to come back up as those rig counts turn around. So right now, I think most people that we talk to are just, they're looking to see what everybody's budgets are going to be in 2017. We're looking to see what the oil price is going to do, but we're also anticipating some uptick in the next year. And I think everybody's on the same page. Any article you read that's public information, things
like how much further could it go?
Well, yeah,
it's going to have to turn around itself.
Right, and you have people betting on both sides, and there's a lot of Wall Street speculation, and that drives part of the market too, and the strength of the dollar drives part of the market. So there's so many variables. It's just you focus on your core business, you focus on your customers, giving them quality service, giving them quality products, making sure you get your message out to them. That's really all you can do in the downturn.
Yeah. Have you guys, and I think that's something that's really underplayed, and I think a lot of, when the market's hot, you had a lot of businesses that aren't in business anymore who maybe didn't focus on that internal culture and providing the right type of service and like kind of client first.
Yep.
And is there anything that you guys have been focusing more on, or do you guys kind of have an internal recipe for making sure that you're staying focused on some of those elements?
I think that, the core of the business has always been founded on focusing on our customer. And with the smaller business, family run, a lot of it being relationships that we've built over the years, a lot of core customers that we've had for an extended period of time. And so, we're adding more customers with the new product offerings, but a lot of that core has been always our main focus. I mean, if you take care of the customer first, then you should be good in the good and bad times.
Yeah. Would you say, is there any like one staple to like business development marketing that you've picked up or learned over the years of doing this, over the past 10 years or so, that's been kind of like, hey, this is my one staple. I take this wherever I go, any market, any environment, any avenue.
Yeah, I think it's understanding what your product is, and I've been fortunate enough to be on the business development sales side. I ran a sales team at my last company, ran the marketing team there, and when you're involved in multiple facets, you get the voice of the customer. So I think if you understand your voice of the customer and understand the value chain in the market you're in, so in this case, you have some service companies, you have operators, you have a lot of different people in that value chain, but understanding who you're marketing your product to, the same pitch may be different for one customer to the next. It's going to be different from one part of the value chain to the next as well.
Yeah.
And so really understanding that and getting their voice is what's most important, because you can tailor your message to them, even with the same product.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, you've been in the B2B, business to business environment, a long time. I mean, it's kind of refreshing to hear that. You don't typically hear that in this kind of B2B environment. Do you find that to be true? I mean, do you see your competitors or other folks in the marketplace that are still kind of almost irrelevant or don't hold any relevancy to some of these traditional marketing strategies?
I think it depends. There's definitely some companies, and the interesting thing that I've seen with the oil field is that a lot of the marketing techniques that you see in, say, Silicon Valley, or you see in startup culture, have not really been applied to oil field. And some of them can be, some of them can't. And so, social media is a great example that we've been talking about with Josh. Is there's certain aspects of social media that work extremely well, like Twitter and the likes, for startup environments. And if you go on there and you're looking at Y Combinator and all these guys that are coming out of it, you're seeing Twitter usage, you're seeing Slack usage, you're seeing all these different things. In the oil field, it tends to be more towards the more conservative, say LinkedIn, and then Oil Pro and some of these different, like Rig Zone had some online social media. So it's a little bit different there. But even a couple of years ago, you really didn't see any infographics. I remember probably 4 years ago when we did one of our first infographics to explain some technical concepts in a visual way. You just didn't see that in JPT or any of the other magazines at the time. And now it's become more prevalent. People are starting to use that. So we're kind of laggards as far as adopters in the oil field in terms of technology, and in a lot of cases in marketing styles, I guess.
I always thought, I guess wondered, I noticed that same thing too, like just like more aggressive marketing or, kind of traditional B2C with infographics and videos and animations. And kind of moving away from some of the white paper, the heavy kind of engineered focus type pieces. And I'm curious if that's like a generational thing or if that's just like a natural progression. Like, I know the oil and gas industry is always worried about the gray beards are leaving, and what are they leaving behind? Are they just leaving behind these infographics, or is the next generation coming up going to be even more empowered than they were?
Right.
But yeah, it's always kind of different. Like, marketing that way is one thing, but then like living it that way internally for how you're doing your operations could be completely different, right?
Right.
And you guys have engineers and stuff on staff too for a lot of your chemicals and stuff.
Definitely.
So do you ever get that kind of resistance from them whenever you guys are trying to launch something or you're doing a particular piece and they're like, this doesn't say everything that we needed to say? It's
I think it depends on what you're using the tool for, right? So an infographic is a great way of creating basically an elevator pitch from a technical concept. So we deal with a lot of complex concepts. That's something that I've dealt with even back when I first started in healthcare. You're trying to pitch an idea to, say, a surgeon or to, in this case, an engineer within 5 minutes or 10 minutes or in a magazine because it's an ad. And so there's all that technical data is behind that to back it up. You have 100 slide deck behind that to back up any question they have, but it's really that hook. And so the infographic serves as the hook to bring them in, to give them a understanding of a complex concept and to hit all your key points in a visual way that's not boring them to death with 100 slides, death by 1,000 cuts type thing.
Yeah. Well, I love it. And on that note, plugging the hook.
Is this where I come in? I've been watching you two talk. about all this the whole time, thinking, golly, this is a little bit above my head, I feel like.
Oh, come on. You always do that.
This is my client. Now this is your client. PfP Technology, PfP Industries. You got Roughneck. I mean, you have a brand new website that really showcases everything all in one spot that I'm so happy to have up.
Josh is happy
plugging
to have
your
it
own website.
I'm plugging your website for us. Okay, can I tell the websites?
Yeah, definitely.
PfPindustries.com. And it's a very, very good website. That I'm not saying that because of me at all. I'm saying it because it really is a good product that we came together. And I mean, we worked hard on this just to convey you talked about being a graphic designer, and then Jason said, well, I'll know it whenever I see it. That's not how you were. You kind of gave us some very specific areas that needed addressing, and I think it came together very well within a pretty short amount of time. So I'm happy. Please go see it.
Yeah.
PfPindustries.com.
Well, I'm enjoying this conversation. I want to dive into some more marketing.
I know.
And some
We got to
sales
take a
stuff
break
with you.
I get it.
But hey, man, we got to do breaks.
All right, cool. We got John Turner here from PfP Industries. We'll be right back on The Hook.
Born the middle son of a farmer in a small town.
We're back on The Hook. My name is Josh, along with the Marketing Maverick. That's Jason Arsmont. Our guest in studio today, John Turner with PfP Industries. Sharing a lot of knowledge, man.
Yeah, man, enjoying this. We don't get usually somebody that's so well-rounded in marketing and sales, and it's kind of right up my alley. So I'm digging it. I hope the listeners are liking it. John Turner with PfP Technologies, PfP Industries. And what's that website you were bragging about, Josh?
PfPindustries.com. Check it out, yo.
Go check them out. So John, you just launched your new website, and that's probably one of the things that we get more questions about from our audience members is, man, hey, what do I need to look for when building a site? Are there some universal things, whether it's B2C or B2B, like consumer-driven or business-driven, or do you kind of see them being completely different?
Oh, there's definitely universal between the two. On the break, I mentioned a little bit about Pat Flynn and his kind of style and doing smart passive income. I think a lot of times when you're doing B2C sites and when you're doing entrepreneurial sites, there's a lot of email hooks you can do. There's a lot of other tactics that, there's a ton of guys out there that are experts in that type of online marketing, the Seth Godin types. For B2B, it's a little bit different because in a lot of cases, we're selling a product. I mean, we're selling the brand overall on the website, and we want people to understand who we are, the value of our company, how we're a family-run business, and how we have a whole range of product lines. But at the same time, we want our customers, when they're looking for something specific, they're probably going to go to our website looking for a certain product, and we want them to be able to find that quickly, get high-level information of it, and know who to contact, and then get in touch with our sales guys so that we can give them the full rundown of it, make sure we can answer all their technical questions, because you're just not going to have enough space on the site to answer every single technical question for every product combination that's out there.
Right. And I guess that's kind of the same formula for like those infographics and stuff. I mean, are you thinking the website for the B2B environment really needs to be kind of pared down and be almost like an infographic, give a high-level snapshot, build some trust and confidence, but we're not trying to sell them, right? Because I guess that's a big difference I'm hearing is what you're saying is like the B2C guys, they're looking for impulse buy.
Yeah, there's no big banner on our site for B2B that says buy now $29.99. It's really much more of finding some technical information, giving them enough information to where they know we might have the product that they want, and then having them want to contact us to learn more about it. So that's really where you're trying to build that hook.
Yeah.
And that's one of the ways that the website changed, because all of the information on the old website was just there for anybody to come and check out. There was really no reason for them to call you and
there was no reason to call. Yeah.
No, to
no
get
filter,
more information.
Right.
Now there's a nice explanation of what you do offer, and if you want more information, well, of course, you go and ask John or ask one of the sales guys.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I keep hearing you kind of say like the culture of the company and how you're kind of displaying that through the website. I think as a culture, as a society at large, we're becoming more and more, unprofessional. And I don't know that the B2B guys will ever not be able to be like professional first. But do you see like the B2B guys are kind of lowering the bar and showing a little bit more like the personality? Was that anything that you guys took into account, being a family-owned business, or is it still kind of like professional first and then you kind of get a glimpse of the personality?
I think it really depends on the company. I think with the oil field, that's very different because oil field historically has been very much, good old boy or the Wild West type perception of companies. And so obviously there's always been the larger companies, the Schlumbergers and whatnot of the world that are very tried and true, professional, polished, everything they do. And the company that I came from was a global chemical company, so we were much more structured in that sense from a marketing standpoint and the approvals and the process and everything,
right.
And also just from our brand image, right? They wanted to purvey something that was completely different from the brand image of a family-run company that's been strictly in the oil field for 15 plus years,
right?
So it just depends on the company itself, I think.
Yeah.
So there's a mix of it, I guess, to answer your question.
Yeah. So I guess making sure that you're doing that kind of review, like what are we really trying to convey?
Right.
I always kind of say it like, if you're not going to show up in a suit and tie, don't have a suit and tie website.
That's a great example.
You're going to have like a more relaxed collar, maybe have it a little bit more relaxed, try to mirror that a little bit.
I think the hard thing though with the B2B is, you can have a relaxed environment with the office, you can have a relaxed environment in your marketing, but you still have to deliver on what you say you're going to deliver on, right?
Yeah.
So that's the one thing that always has to be, that people have to be mindful of in a B2B environment, and especially in an environment where you're already producing products. In a startup environment where you're interested in growth and you don't really have a product yet that you're selling, you're not really generating revenue, you really have a completely different cultural mentality within inside that business than you do with a company that's established, has customers that are relying on you on a day-to-day basis, where you can actually shut down their well site if you don't deliver on time. And so we really pride ourselves in our operational excellence because we have to, because that's the core of our business.
Yeah.
The marketing gets our message out, but you have to, you have to be pretty polished when it comes to operations.
Yeah, that kind of brings up my next point. You were talking about during the break there about how having the synergy between sales and marketing, and I think that's something our listeners could really benefit from hearing again. I know we talk about it often, but it seems to always be a disconnect between those two departments. What's been your strategy, or how have you been able to kind of keep those two things tied together to make sure that what sales is working on, marketing is actually helping to promote?
Yeah, it's difficult, to be honest. That's something that I hear a lot from people that I know in the industry and in other industries. Just the way that a lot of companies are based on maybe a very siloed type structure, where operations is separate from sales, which is separate from finance, which is separate from marketing. And a lot of sales guys, they get the sales flyers, they get a basic training, and then they go out and they use whatever tools they're given. And there's not a lot of opportunity for them to give feedback into marketing. And in this case, I'm talking Marcom more than just general marketing, where you're doing market analysis and all that. Fortunately, in my last company, the way we were structured, I was able to come through marketing first before going into sales. And then eventually, as I progressed in my career, I actually managed both marketing and sales. So you got to hear the voice of the customer, manage the sales team, understand what was going on in the market, and then direct the marketing efforts towards that, whether that be market analysis on different areas to understand what products were being used there, or whether that be actually Marcom, where you're doing the infographics, the websites, the ads, and that type of thing. And having everybody kind of in the same group and allowing the marketing guys to really understand the customer and what the sales guys' needs are, and then building tools quickly for that really helps.
Yeah.
And I think the more integrated those two are, and they're very integrated in startups, and they're very integrated for entrepreneurs because they're the salesperson, the marketer.
It's only two guys in the building.
Yeah, they're everything. So to some people that are starting businesses, they may go, well, of course they're integrated. I mean, but when you're in a larger company, there's obviously a lot of companies that are very siloed, where marketing and sales really don't talk.
Yeah.
Sales have no feedback into marketing, and vice versa. So you end up with tools that aren't as effective.
Yeah. So how have you been able to bridge that gap? I mean, I guess you were kind of handling both of those departments, but I mean, what would your recommendation be for listeners who have 3, 4, 5 salespeople? Do they need to just find like someone that's kind of like the sales manager, or do they bring all of the salespeople in and get their input? Their input, which that can lead to
all kinds of different
all kind of distress. But I mean, what would be your recommendation working in environments like that with teams? Like, how do you bridge that gap?
That's a good question. I think having some open discussions with the marketing and sales groups all together, coming up with different ideas. Sometimes, ultimately that has to be driven down from management, and you have to set your standard and say, okay, these are the new products that are coming out. Let's get the sales guys and the marketing guys together, and let's really understand. Let's get feedback and a conversation going, and let's have some key objectives for those meetings. But I think having everybody in the room is definitely a part of it. And then looking at it as a team play, and it's not, oh, this belongs to sales, this belongs to marketing. But I think it depends on your team as well. If you hire the right salespeople that are marketing minded, if you hire marketing people that have an inclination towards sales, one of the things that I've always had is we haven't had a lot of graphic designers and that type of role at our companies. We've usually used companies like Brightbox or other companies in the past. And so the marketing people that we usually have are a mix of sales or technical or product management type people.
Right. Okay.
And then the sales guys that I've usually dealt with, for the most part, a majority of them, we've had people that either come through a technical background or have a marketing background. And so that gives it a little bit of a leg up. And that's different from a lot of industries, and that's different from a lot of companies in general, where sales guys are sales guys and they don't really care about marketing at all. But, personally, and maybe it's just my background, is if I have to take these tools with me and the tools are my marketing materials, then, I want a voice in what's developed. And I want a voice in the analysis and what
you
products.
Would think so, right? Yeah. I need something that's going to best represent what I'm going to go pitch.
Exactly.
Yeah. I always find that to be interesting. So think about that, guys. When you're looking at your sales and your marketing, and you're putting money into marketing every day, and then you got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 salespeople out there. Are they using the material? Do you do your marketing with sales-minded approach, and make sure that you're best integrating those two different platforms?
Yeah, it's been great too, because a lot of times we'll get the feedback from somebody in sales that does have that marketing eye and say, well, we need this PowerPoint to say this instead of the way it says it right here. So just these tweaks here and there that people pick up on, it really makes a difference, and it makes it easier, that relationship you have between a marketing company and the clients, between us and PfP, the way we have it right now. So.
And unfortunately, again, like we always do, we start running out of time. And I want to ask a question, and I know you're not a market analyst or anything, but what's your take on the oil and gas environment as far as the industry as a whole? What are you hearing out there in the field? Are you hearing 6 months, a year? How much longer do you think we have? And for the typical listener that's just knows their buddies keep losing jobs in the oil patch,
right?
What's your take on it? What are you hearing?
The joke that everyone says when they're asked this question is, if I knew the future, I'd be a multimillionaire because I'd be able to make all the right bets. I know. It's hard to say. I think most of the customers that I talk to, and internally, we're very optimistic about the future. Now, nobody's thinking that the rig count's going to double overnight or oil prices are going to double overnight. But we think that going into Q4 of this year, 2017 and beyond, that we'll start getting back to that sense of normalcy. So we think that there's some upside to it. We'll definitely see as Q4 approaches, and then going into Q1, what all of the operators and service companies start saying about their budgets, and that's what everybody's going to be watching closely.
Right.
Along with the oil price, there's so many factors that determine it. It's out of anybody's control. So it'll just be interesting to see where people put their budgets next year, and that'll really dictate a lot of that. And we'll start looking at the rig count trends. We've seen some ads over the last couple of weeks. That looks positive as well. We're not seeing as many of our coworkers and friends, I guess,
starting to taper off a little bit.
Yeah. So, and we've been very fortunate in our company. A lot of other friends at smaller companies have been fortunate. I think some of the larger companies that you've seen, have done public announcements of how many layoffs have been done, especially in the Houston area. But we're not seeing as many of those. So I think that everybody's saying now, if you cut any more, it's down to the bone. But we think that it's going to turn around here over the course of the next couple of quarters.
All right. Well, we won't hold you to that, but we appreciate we appreciate the insight.
All right, thanks so much for coming in, John Turner, PfP Industries. This is the Marketing Maverick, Jason Arsmont. My name is Josh. We'll see you again next week on The Hook.